Welcome to Saxon Math, Course Book 2, Lesson 85, Objective 85.1. Simplify expressions that contain both positive and negative numbers. Example 1. Simplify negative 2 plus negative 2 times negative 2. Subtract negative 2 divided by positive 2. We will be solving this example 1 in two different ways. But let's first review the order of operations. Parentheses, exponents, multiplication and division, whatever comes first, left to right, and then addition or subtraction, whatever comes first, left to right. We'll begin by looking at, we have negative 2. We know that negative 2 times negative 2, so 2 times 2 is 4. And we know that a negative and a negative is a positive, so we'll have a positive 4. Bring down our subtraction sign. 2 divided by 2 is 1, and a negative and a positive is a negative. Next, we will simplify. We know that a positive and a positive will remain a positive. So therefore, we see the signs are different, so we will subtract. 4 minus 2 is 2. We know the absolute value of positive 4 is greater, so the 4, that will be a positive 2. Bring down our negative 1. Next, we know that a negative and a negative will be a positive. So therefore, positive 2 and positive 1, the signs are the same, so we will add and keep the signs the same. Next, we will learn that wherever there's an addition sign or a subtraction sign, we can break there. So we see an addition sign here and a subtraction sign here. We can break those in those places and create simpler problems. So we have negative 2, that's already simplified. We know that negative 2 times negative 2, so 2 times 2 is 4, and we know a negative times a negative is a positive, so we will have a positive 4. Next, we know that 2 divided by 2 is 1, and a negative divided by a positive is a negative. So we will bring our negative sign down and a negative 1. We know that a negative and negative is going to simplify to a positive. So that leaves us with a positive 1. Next, we have a negative 2 and a positive 3. Again, we are adding those, so the signs are different. So we will subtract and take the sign of the bigger number. 4 minus 2 is 2. Since 4 is greater, we know that it'll be a positive. And then so therefore we have a positive 2 plus a positive 1. 2 plus 1 is 3 because the signs are the same. We will add 2 plus 1 is 3, and we'll keep the signs the same. So therefore it is a positive 3. As you can see, either way that we complete this, we will arrive at the same answer. Example 2. Simplify each term, then combine the terms. Negative 3 times 2 minus 4, subtract 4 times negative 2 times negative 3, plus negative 3 times negative 4 divided by 2. As you can see, we have a subtraction sign here, so we will break it there, and we have an addition sign, so we will break it there. Now we will solve each problem individually. First of all, we will know that we have to do parentheses first. So we have a positive 2 and a negative 4. The signs are different, so we will subtract and take the sign of the bigger number. 4 minus 2 is 2, and the absolute value of negative 4 is greater, so therefore it is a negative 2. So this simplifies. Negative 3 times negative 2. We know we're multiplying. 2 times 3 is 6. A negative and a negative is a positive. So we have a positive 6. Next, we will take 4 times 2, which is 8. A negative and a negative is a positive. So we have a positive 8 times a negative 3. We'll finish this out. 8 times 3 is 24. A positive times a negative is a negative. So we will have negative 24. Next, negative 3 times negative 4 we know is 12. A negative and a negative is a positive. So therefore, and then we have our 2 on the bottom. 12 divided by 2 is 6. Next, we must simplify. We have positive 6 and a negative 24. Since the signs are different, we will subtract and take the sign of the bigger number. 24 minus 6 is 18. The absolute value of negative 24 is greater. So we'll have a negative 18 plus a positive 6. We see that the signs are different, so that means we subtract and take the sign of the bigger number. 18 minus 6 is 12. And negative, because the absolute value of negative 18 is greater, so our final answer is negative 12. Example 3. Simplify negative 2 minus brackets negative 3 minus negative 4 times negative 5, close the brackets. So we will begin by starting inside with the brackets. We know that we will have to multiply first, so 5 times 4 is 20. A negative and a negative is a positive. So we will replace that with a positive 20. Then we know that we have to simplify. A negative and a positive is a negative. The signs are the same. So we will add and keep the signs the same. So we have a negative 23. And we have a negative on the outside. So we know a negative and a negative is going to simplify to a positive. That 2 negatives simplifies to be a positive 23. Now we were down to addition and subtraction. We see that the signs are different, so we will subtract and take the sign of the larger number. We get 21. We know the absolute value of positive 23 is greater, so therefore our answer is a positive 23. Example 4. Simplify negative 2 plus 3 times negative 2 minus 2 times positive 4. As we can see, we can break these into simpler problems. We have a positive sign or a plus sign, and we have a negative sign. So therefore, it's negative 2, which is already simplified. 3 times negative 2. We know that 3 times 2 is 6. A positive times a negative is a negative, so that simplifies to be negative 6. And our last one, 2 times 4 is 8. A negative times a positive is a negative, so therefore we have a negative 8. We are left with negative 2, negative 6, and negative 8. Since we all have all negative signs, we can go ahead and add 2 plus 6 and 8. So that's 14, 16, and we have 16 negatives since our signs remain the same. So our answer is negative 16. Please complete lesson practice for lesson 85.